This video is about the flow of the argument, and it is part 1 of 2 videos. This first one will cover warrants or assumptions. The second video will come in a couple weeks when we focus more on qualifiers and reservations. This week, you are about to fill out your first worksheet that is asking you to use the Tolman method of analyzing an argument. Remember that an argument is simply an opinion with reasons for that opinion. Looking at your worksheet, you can see that I have highlighted the relevant parts that specifically go into the Tolman method of analyzing your argument. This is how the parts of the argument fit into a diagram. I personally think this is a lot to focus on all at once. That is why I have chosen to focus on one main part. In your first case study, I really want you to understand and be able to identify the warrants or assumptions in your argument. Let's see how these parts flow together. Here we have our claim and our evidence. Let us think of these as 2 cliffs that you want to bring together. The only way to do this is by a bridge. The bridge connects to both of the sides so people can get across. Your warrants and assumptions are that bridge. They essentially explain to your audience how you are connecting these 2 ideas together. So Tolman shows us that there are 3 main ways that we connect our arguments together. Number 1, we can use an authoritative warrant in our argument to show we have a good claim. This is when we put forth some authority or study as an authority on a subject. For example, in our argument, we might say, the prophet said this. What you're really saying to your audience is, you should think my argument is valid because of my authority source, which is the prophet. Number 2, we might also use a substantive warrant in your argument, where we put forth facts or data from information gathered and interpreted. This happens when we say something like, recent news articles say this. What we are really saying is that you should believe my claim because of these news articles. And then number 3, this is probably the most common one in this class, which is a motivational argument. Here we try to persuade by using basic morals, needs, values, preferences, and biases of the audience. Therefore, if the audience does not believe in, for example, the sanctity of marriage, then a motivational warrant that says traditional marriage is ordained of God would not be very persuasive to them. As you can see, understanding warrants and assumptions is probably the most important part of the argument, as this is showing how these 2 ideas go together, and it determines if you have a persuasive argument. It is with this same bridge where you will be able to identify any possible logical fallacies in your argument. Logical fallacies are not about whether a statement is true or false, but only about the basic laws of reasoning and logic. Do these 2 ideas logically go together, is the question to ask. This section could truly give you a bridge to nowhere if your claim and evidence do not belong together. That doesn't mean you won't be persuasive, though. Let me give you one brief example with identifying warrants. Here is my claim. All Mormon farmers should grow barley. Right off the bat, I want you to see that I have added one keyword in this claim that is not present in yours, which is all. Here is my evidence because it provides a good living, and usually men do want to provide for their family. However, I am not sure if it would be just as easy to farm potatoes instead of barley. Out of these 3 types of warrants, I am using a motivational warrant to connect my claim to my evidence. I am assuming the audience also believes in the common belief in the need for a man to provide for his family. This is an economic argument as well. My warrant and argument will fall flat if I have an audience who does not value economics over certain social issues like alcohol. Hence, why the success of your arguments do depend on the knowledge and characteristics of your audience. Therefore, it is my recommendation that you try to give an argument using each type of warrant. This way, if you discover your audience is not persuaded by economics, then you can move on to your substantive warrant to try to persuade them that Mormon farmers should grow barley. This is how it would look in my case study analysis. I will put number 1 because this could be just my first of many statements for my evidence. I also like to label these just to make it clear. There is a great example in your resource folder of how to properly fill out these case studies. I hope this video has helped you understand warrants and assumptions a little more. I will provide more videos with specific examples of each section. I mainly wanted to keep this video brief as I do not want to overwhelm you. However, I do think you will be surprised at how you will never be able to hear an argument without thinking about what is its warrants and or possible logical fallacies.